Have an unusual time here. It's a bit late. It's after 10 o'clock on Thanksgiving, and we've done our Thanksgiving stuff. And we're going to have a morning session, but I know I'm specifically going to be working on something I've been talking to about for a long time, and that's the Mexican lowriders. I actually had two that I started on. What I do, not bring them? Yeah, they're down here. Okay. Two that I started on a long time ago, like 7 or 8 years ago, and we have some other ones. So we're going to take some of these cars apart and see what's inside of them, and give them a clear coat, so we can start working on them tomorrow morning. So in a few hours. All right, and yeah, I've been talking about doing these guys for a long time. I got two cars to retrofit. I had them a while ago, and I'll show them to you. Let's see who the candidates are here. And these are, I believe, every single one of these is a Hot Wheels. And most of them are still in their packaging. All right, so these are the two that I did before a long time ago. And I actually painted on the side of this car what we called this one. And it's got a big M on it, and kind of had this design here where it didn't really say what the name of it. So this is actually the Mexicant, and have an interior painted on it. Not really happy with how it kind of turned out. I did this a long time ago, several years ago, so I think we're going to be able to retrofit this into something else. But I'm not going to get bogged down in those details. I'm probably going to do this one last, along with this one that is going to be called the Jalapeno Popper. And it's got these cool green flames on it that, you know, I don't want that ruined. I want to use that. It's got good detail, and we can make that come alive, so to speak. So these are the two I had done before and didn't put any weapons on them. Didn't have any weapons at the time for Gaslands, and we were just kind of, everybody was kind of playing with cars that weren't armed or anything. They're just kind of weathered. So those are part of the Mexican lowrider team. This one as well. This one I actually got loose. This is a Ford Ranchero from 1972. Nice looking vehicle. Really nice looking vehicle, actually. And we're going to take it apart. And then we got some other vehicles here that'll get us somewhere in the neighborhood of a reasonable amount of vehicles here for a team. Okay, so we've got we have a fajita food truck. Okay, we're not going to redo these graphics. We're going to have these graphics. Now, we may do something about, for instance, that we might, for instance, do something like get rid of this glass because you can see it's orange. That's just not going to fly, right? That's just ridiculous. We have this one's particularly cool. Laying lowrider. I actually might have three of these. I have three of these, and they're different paint schemes. And I think they're all going to be for the Mexican team. I could be incorrect. They'll be armed differently. And I like the paint jobs on them. They're really pretty cool. You know, this one has like almost like some tortilla chip looking things on it. Doritos. The Dorito Bandito or something. I don't know. It looks pretty freaking cool. I don't know about the purple rims. That's a little bit too much. Welcome. And yeah, so this is a 2025. This has some kind of just like green flames on it. What year is this one? 2021. Okay. What is this, an Impala? It's got to be like an Impala. It just says laying lowrider. It's probably an Impala. And then the third one, I don't know if this is going to make it on this team or not. It's also 2021, and it looks like the Hulk, but it's got a gold tooth on it. So maybe this is more for my urban team. However, it's got the engine that comes out of the hood. The Dorito one does not. The Nacho one does not. Nacho Mama. Yeah, this one does. It actually shakes a little bit. It'll actually move on you, so that's interesting. You can actually see the engine is moving in there. I wonder if that's by design. I think this one does too. Yeah, you can see it right there. It's moving. We'll take these apart, and if not, we're going to use them for maybe the urban team. Okay? And this guy, got this guy recently. This is a 2026 Bounce and Bass. Again, the purple here on the bumper, that just doesn't work. Right? The purple stripes works. The gold works. Probably even works with the gold wheels. All right, and then we have this one, which is going to be something like La Calavera or something like that. All these are going to have Spanish names, definitely. And it says Dia de los Muertos on it. And it has some wheels that have skulls on them, which are pretty cool, except that they're white rubber. That's not going to fly. You know, this isn't your baby sister's a BMX bike, right, that has a white rubber, right? So we'll probably keep the skull motifs on them, probably keep these wheels on them, but they're going to be, you know, black. Obviously black rubber for that. And then this guy may end up being for this team or not. It is a lowered F-150, and it's got like a big intercooler here on the front. Almost looks like it's got some trumpets. You know? Welcome, new person. Come on down. This is what? KB Toys, 99 cents. Yeah, so who knows whatever this guy got. I actually got this at a store from, what year is this? 2002. Yeah, this is like a secondhand store. Well, if you don't like my channel, just don't come to the channel. It's that simple. So we're going to take these apart, especially this one. It's already out of the package, and let's see what's inside. Now, I'm going to need to get a little container that can have all these pieces parts and bring them inside. We'll just use one of these. Wish you had compartments. This one does not have compartments. Okay, and this is where we're going to put all the pieces parts as we take them. We are particularly interested in, let's lay this down. We're particularly interested in any interiors that may need to be painted black, so that we can go ahead and prime them as well. So we're going to take things apart, prime them, and clear coat what we need, because we're going to put a brown wash on the outside of them. All right, Ford Ranchero. Now, I don't follow taking these apart in the normal way, which is, if you watch videos on YouTube, they'll tell you, yeah, use these drill bits of these two sizes made for metal, and shoop, shoop, make it look really easy. And what's up, Joe? And make it look real easy, and it just doesn't work for me. I've tried it several times. It's just downright dangerous. So what I do is I just drill around the plastic. Okay, so I just take a drill bit that's strong enough that I can go around it and not damage it. So that's what we're going to do. So Ford Ranchero, we're going to go around this metal rivet. We're not going to drill through the metal rivet. I'll make sure we don't go through that. Probably won't, because the bed of that truck is metal. And should be able to remove this relatively easily. Okay, like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the front. dental tool. Yeah, something like that. I got a pedal here where we can go really, really slow on it. I mean, we're only drilling through plastic, so we don't need to do any, like, difficult stuff. I don't want to go with something thinner than this, because what happens is I'm putting lateral pressure and I don't want to break this thing off. So. And I'd like to be done doing this in about an hour. I got to get to bed so I can wake up at my normal time. Okay. Get all this extra plastic. It cuts through there, and it's such high friction that you're actually melting it back onto itself as it's happening. I'm gonna put this on pause a second. I'm gonna get my super readers out. I'm gonna need them, and I'll be right back in just one moment. All right, we got the super readers on now. So instead of 1.5, these are 3 point something or another. 3 point a lot. There we go. Now we can see what the hell we're doing. All right. That one's loose, and this one's gonna be damn near loose in a second. Now, doing those drill bits, I went through it. I'm like, I'm gonna buy the right drill bits. I'm gonna follow on. I'm like, I had so much problems with that. And it's just using really high speed stuff with my fingers way too close. I was just not a fan of that. All right, so we're going to take this apart. It's always interesting to see what's inside of these things, because a lot of these cars have some really interesting interior detail that's just dying to get painted. And nobody's ever going to see it unless you take these things apart, and kids aren't going to take these apart. All right, let's see what we got inside. We got a cab with 2 seats, and that's it. Really minimalist interior. So I was making it sound like, man, this could be really interesting. Well, it could have been until it wasn't. So that's all we have with the Ford Ranchero. So on something like this, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to clear coat this in a flat. We're going to clear this in like a flat clear, and that will allow us to put a brown wash on here. Now, a brown wash on a black car isn't going to make a big difference, but it is going to make a difference. So that's just going to be, we'll keep it from looking exactly the same color all the way around. I think this is the only vehicle that's truly completely black. Maybe the Day of the Dead one. It's got a lot of white graphics on it, so it'll look a little different. So we're going to take these pieces and we're going to set it off to the side here because it's broken open. So we're going to break all the pieces, all the cars open first. That we're going to do. All right. Let's take these metal shavings off. There's metal shavings because I'm getting close to these rivets. It's going to clip the rivet. It's going to get a little bit of metal shavings on there, but we don't want those falling underneath the vehicle. And then as it's vibrating, it ends up like scratching the finish on it. All right, since we're on the truck bandwagon, we're going to use this guy right here, which is a bouncing base. All right, and this is a 2025. Turn up the volume, light up the night, and get the party started with this lowrider. Inspired by 80s style trucks, it boasts boxy proportions, sleek character lines, booming speakers, and ground-hugging low clearance. Now, there is a weapon called, there is a thing called wall of amplifiers. Okay, and it uses 3 build slots, and the truck has 3 build slots. So I could use this vehicle with nothing other than as it is. And I'm not necessarily not going to do that. I actually may do that. It's interesting because the bottom of this has like no detail, right? Some of them have like actual suspension and stuff on. There's nothing down here. There ain't nothing. I mean, there's hardly any clearance whatsoever. So I may leave this the way it is, since it already has a boombox thing. Now, the boombox Carnage, my urban team already has a boombox vehicle, but these guys don't. So, and it happens to be a bus. So there's a good chance I'm gonna leave this thing as is. You know, we'll take care of the purple. This is like Grimace purple, right? You know, like the McDonald's Grimace. And the back bumper here. But we're gonna take it apart just for good measure and see what the heck's inside. Okay, may not be much, but. And then I put them back together with hot glue. And it holds them in there just fine. All right, so we're gonna see some purple shavings here. Okay, that came off. And then we'll do the same thing at the front. Let's see what we got inside. Just fell there. This doesn't. All these purple filings. We're going to take it apart and we're going to paint all, so we can access all pieces to paint it properly. And then we'll assemble it back together after we, modify it. Now, this has a better interior. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. There's some cool stuff inside these vehicles that you would never see. Here, what do we have inside here? Looks like some credit cards. Looks like a small car. A small little truck. Right here in the passenger seat. Sorry, video's reversed. That's the way it is with the live YouTube feed. There's no way to change that. Pretty nice pieces. This gold, I've done a vehicle that's gold before. The gold, with the brown wash on the gold looks great. Nice graphics. These are the pieces. See, this one I won't prime. I won't prime this because it's already black on the inside. Right, that's the color I'd start with anyways. All right, so we're going to put all these pieces back together. Nice. Nice collection there. Okay. Numero next. Let's do the Dorito Bandito, or whatever the hell we're going to call this guy. Show one that's already been done. I can't because they're inside. Sorry. You can check me out in the morning and I can show you one, but they're already inside. We're out in the garage. On this channel, there's other videos that'll have them on the cover there, including the one that I did this and the one that I finished this morning. I've done 3 in the last day and a half. This thing looks killer. If I was inside in the morning, I'd show it to you because it's right there. Looks like we got some exhaust here. Got to be an Impala. That's higher in the front than in the back. Okay. I repaint them. I make them look weathered. And we add guns to them and stuff for a game called Gaslands, which is like Car Wars. It's available. It's from Osprey. You can buy it on, well, you can buy it on Amazon. And if you want to know more about what it is, on this channel I've got a game where I played solo. We're probably going to have some games playing with some other folks. But we've only played like test games, just kept getting everybody familiar. It's hard to get the same people to show up week after week, so. Okay, so that released this from holding this down. Okay, so this will be able to come out like this relatively easy. But what I do is I actually don't repaint them because this is a beautiful paint job. It may not be what you want, but it's kind of cool. And to repaint this by hand would just take forever. So what I do is I give them a clear coat so that when you put a brown wash to make it look like it's worn and uneven, it'll actually adhere to this. If you just put a brown wash on top of this, it'll just slide right off. Hola, Pipito amigo. Okay. Yep. Well, that's some of these guys right here. Pipito. All right, here we go. Let's do the front. Yeah, it doesn't take much, and I like doing this at low speed. All right, let's see what's inside this Joker. Okay, there's no interior that is by itself. It is completely attached. It's interesting how all of these things are, every one of them is different. This one has the seats that are built into the chassis. I haven't seen one of those built that way before. It's a minimum of pieces. As much as I like this paint scheme, we can't do the magenta rims. It's just too wild. Seen people modify them with new wheels. How long have you been doing this? How long have I been doing this? Maybe a couple months. I mean, I've been painting stuff for 40 freaking years. But I just got into this game because it's pretty fun. It's pretty creative. Okay, I suspect that this one with the flames will be the same way, except it actually has an engine, so it has an engine that's popping out of it. It's the same body. It's lowered in the back, high in the front. Maybe this guy's I'm just the other guy's cousin, man. Pretty cool. Oh, the black is actually metallic. Interesting. Okay, this engine's actually rumbly. Oh, and when it moves, the engine pops. Look at that. The engine pops when it moves. Interesting. Looks like it's got a chrome interior. Green lens, windows, chrome interior, looks like from here. Let's check it out, see what we got inside. That's the other guy's cousin. Yeah, well, they're all related, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. I really enjoy the urban cars. You know. The Brothers from Another Mother car. I love them. They're some of the most fun cars I've had to come up with names for, play with, and modify. And I think these guys will be just as good. So we're gonna have these guys. We got rednecks. We got guys from we got Germans. We got Italians. We got British teams. I'm kind of making my own world that suits me. I don't really like the shtick that the Gaslands designer came up with. The rules are great and they're easy and they're fun to play with, but the whole Mars thing just doesn't jive with me, you know. Okay, I think this will pop this whole thing out. All right. Most of the cars are not on a specific team. They're most of free agents kind of stuff. And actually, we haven't played any team games where multiple people are on the same team. see what we got inside. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. This one's got to be slightly different because even though it's the same body, it's got this engine that's popped in there. So this whole thing is the same, except it's a chrome interior. See, that's not going to fly. You know, we're going to have to paint that black. But inside of here, take this melted plastic thing out. Of course it hits the ground. Wouldn't want it any other way. We have an engine. Of course, we're gonna lock the wheels in place. We have an engine that pops out like so. And we can replace it with a bigger engine. We got some loose blocks and things like that. So this just added that one little detail there. Make it look a little bit more interesting. That's all together. Okay. You subscribe. You like Hondas yourself. That's what I like to drive. I like to drive. This garage is a bit of a mess. Here's what I like to drive. I got my Subi in here. So I wish it was two-door, but I like rice burners with stick shift rice burners. That's what I personally like. But like, I don't like muscle cars. I don't see my average, but muscle cars are great for this game. You know? So we have everything here. We have all kinds of stuff. We've got a food truck and shit like that. All right. And now for something completely different. The fajita truck. Fast foodie. Okay. Oh, it even has a little guy with a mustache. Got to be Mexican food. Now, here's the challenge. Here's my first challenge. First challenge is, on these, either the top, most of these, either the top is plastic and the bottom is metal, or sometimes the bottom is plastic and the top is metal. Well, I don't know if I said that correctly. Usually the top is metal and the bottom, the chassis, is plastic. Here they both are. So I'm McFucked, right? Like, I've got to drill these things out now because there's nothing I can go around. So I'm going to leave this for last, and you can see how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be to do. You need fajitas. Órale, chingón! All right, so we also have this F-150. I don't know if this is going to be one of the Mexican trucks or not. Now that I'm looking at it, it may not be. I mean, I like this little exhaust type of stuff on this vehicle. Oh, it's also metal on both sides. Oh, Christ. Okay. And then we have this one that says Fandango. Now, Fandango isn't necessarily a Mexican thing. Is it also metal on metal? No, it's plastic on metal. Let's take this guy apart. Australian. We do have a ute. We have a purple ute that's coming up soon. A Holden. I didn't know anything about this particular vehicle. It honestly looked like a Volkswagen pickup truck. Oh my God! How can you say it's a? Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know anything about Holden. But it's purple. It came in purple, and it's going to be grape shot. That's what we're going to call this one. Let's take a Fandango apart here. This is a 2001. It only has one rivet point. That's good. Wango Tango. That would be a good Xbox handle name. So this should pop out, but like I said, as you're drilling this out, it is sealing itself back up just due to friction. So it should pry. It should pry forward. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. All right. And then this just falls out of it. Very minimalist interior. Very, very minimalist interior. And the inside of the vehicle with this hellaciously horrible looking orange window. Of course, the grill's on. They're all, they're all a little bit different. They're all a little bit different. They're designed by different people. They all have pretty decent details on them. Is this a Durango? Because this is a Fandango Durango. It honestly, that's what it looks like. It looks like one of the first series Durangos. I mean, that's what the rear lights look like. You're from Florida. So am I. Where are you from Florida? Okay, it's got the Hulk on here. Let's see what we got on here. Does this have a name for this one in particular? Other than just a style? Well, I don't see it. Gold Tooth doesn't exactly say Mexican lowriders to me. It says something else. Honestly, I thought it was a snake on it. I look at the side, it's like, oh, it's eye for a snake. Is it Hulk? Maybe it's Frankenstein. I don't know what the hell this is. I'd say we make this a Mexican guy. And that way there's three cousins. Three cholos can run together. This guy, this guy. It's all the same body. Of course, they're going to be armed differently. These three. Those are really cool. I mean, I wouldn't drive a vehicle like that, but in this game, awesome. I don't want to drive anything that you can move your steering wheel like, many degrees different and the car doesn't turn. I'm all about handling. All right. Let's open it this guy. Majorette is where it's at. Hot Wheels suck. Yeah, I just don't have access to any majorettes. I use everybody's stuff. Majorette does a really bad job of getting their product in stores, I use Matchbox. You just can't find a store with a majorette in it. They're French, or they used to be French. The fuck happened here? The ones I used to like as a kid was Tomica, because Tomica always had doors that opened. And they had tires that weren't like ridiculously oversized. But they had a lot of mundane cars. Like, cars that you could expect to grow up and actually have, not like, a Porsche or whatever. Most of us aren't going to go and have a Porsche. We'd rather live in a house. All right, so this goes up there, and we just remove this one out of the back. Okay, and this has Purple windows, again with a little engine block up here. And the cabin is basically glued to the bottom chassis. It's not a separate piece, which is what it usually is. Okay, so these three pieces go together. All right, let's look at the Dia de los Muertos truck. Day of the Dead. With these tires that are definitely going to have to be repainted. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Majorette's still as fresh. They might have started making things in other places. Some of these Hot Wheels, I'm surprised, like ones from the 80s and stuff, say that they're actually made in China. The modern ones are not made in China. They'll either say Thailand or Malaysia is where most of them come from. Like this one's Malaysia. I like the Thailand ones because the modern ones, they got a little cute elephant next to them. So this is a 50-something truck. I personally am not a fan of trucks that look like that. I don't like the way vehicles from the 1950s look. It's irrelevant when it comes to this game. This is definitely a useful vehicle, but we don't need the inside of it being chrome. That's just a bit absurd. Now let's check. This is plastic. Good. So we're going to do the same thing with this guy and just go around this rivet, not through it. Now, the ones I really like are the ones that the body is plastic and the chassis is metal, because then they have a plastic rivet. So we just drill through that. Right? It makes life a lot easier. What's your dream favorite car? I don't know. Something like a... Looks-wise, something like a Silva. Something like a Nissan Silva. I like two-door. I don't necessarily like rear-wheel drive. I'm kind of new to all-wheel drive, and I don't know if I can go back to something that's not all-wheel drive. It's pretty awesome to be able to go like 45 miles an hour and take a 90-degree turn. Not that I do that all the time, but being able to do that is nice. You know, if I want to drive wild, I'll just drive on the Xbox. You know, but I'm all about handling. You know, in 0 to 60 too. You know, you can't. Oh, your car can go 200 miles. Who cares? You can't do those speeds. When I can get up to 60 miles an hour, I'm going to be in interstate in a moment. You know. I don't know. It's going to be really hard to. Cars have gotten so unaffordable the last 5 years. But I don't ever plan on going, but I don't ever want an automatic ever again. Okay. What do we have in here? Woo! That is a cramped interior. This is a shiny bastard. Okay. Let me get all these pieces. Now, the fajita truck. Boy, we got some problems. That's the last one, right? All right, I'm going to show you why I don't do this anymore. And I don't know that this is going to be successful. But of all the vehicles that have to be taken apart, this is probably the top one, because there's a couple things in here. First, you got some dork-looking dude that's in there. So unless I plan on closing this up, you know, I like a Renault 5. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know that I have a favorite car. I mean, I like the way a lot of the muscle cars look, but I know they just drive loose as hell. I know they drive loose as hell. Like something like, I got several, I got a Nova, a Chevelle that are really good looking cars, you know, in Matchbox. But I know just if you got in a real one of those, you'd be doing this with a steering wheel and the car would just keep going straight like it, you know, wouldn't even miss a beat. All right. We've got these drill bits that we're going to have to use. These are our metal drill bits. And French car is neat, but Renault fall apart. Yeah, it's all about Happy Thanksgiving, man. It's all about quality control, you know? It's all about quality control. All right. let me go get the real drill that is big enough to be able to carry that, because the small thing I have is not gonna fit in there. Let's see, we need to get, I think I should still have it on the table. The chuck is too small on that thing. You need one of these standard drill bit type things. Now, yep, the universal chuck is here that we're gonna need to tighten this thing up with. All right, so let's plug this thing up. Now, unfortunately, I can't use this with a pedal, but I can. This can go relatively slow. Okay. So we're going to do the small drill bit first. And I don't, like I said, I don't want, there's a reason why I don't do it this way anymore, even though I bought the specific drills for it. It's not as easy as the guys make it look on the internet. Okay. Take a swig of Coke. Chevelles don't steer that bad for real. Really? I bet they handle like crap though. I'm just used to freaking rice burners, how they handle. They look great for this game. Don't get me wrong, they look great, but how the hell did this go all the way through? Is this plastic or something? Wait, hold on a second. Hold your horses. Is this actually a plastic? Oh, I'm living a charmed life. And this is, I thought this was metal. Sure seems like metal. Well, the other one certainly is. Okay, well let's just drop through here like it was nothing. Yeah, maybe it's plastic. Okay, well, all right, good. That's a good problem to have. Yeah, okay, it didn't look like it was plastic. All right, well, we'll sit this one out. Let's get the Ford F-150. That's definitely metal on both. Okay, and it only has one, so that's thankful. It's only in one, and then it sits in there, and you know, you got to pry it in, and then it sits that way. So you only have to drill one of these things out. Thank goodness. And this is a drill bit that is made for metal, and it's barely going in there. I mean, it's not budging. What do we got here? So Isaac Newton. Really, you can tighten steering too. Well, I just don't see me getting a car that old that's a gas guzzler. They look great though. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even getting any metal shavings off this thing. And I haven't used this thing that much. And it's specifically for drilling into metal. So that's why, you know, when I paint things, I don't care that things take a long time to paint, as long as I'm making steady progress. This whole business of like you're working on something and you're getting nowhere, I don't really have the stomach for it. You know, I don't mind that things take a long time to do, as long as you can see that you're making progress on it. You keep your, you can keep your morale up. Start seeing that you don't not making any progress. I'm like, dude, I'm wasting my time. I could be doing something else. Well, since we switched it anyways, that's what I did not want to do. I'll go ahead and drill this thing out. This is just a plastic one, so. Now this front should pop out real easy now. Well, should. Yeah, it's a plastic outside. Sure didn't see that one coming. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Okay. Yeah, so this post is kaputt. And inside we got this clown sitting at the window. And this glass is going to have to be replaced. This you can tint some of this. I may try to tint it brown. The front's not that big of a problem. It's really easy to put something on there to block it, like armor plates. But the top, you know, unless you're going to block it with something, you're stuck with that. Not that really big of a problem, just some other things. Now, I've got a pair of clippers here that are kind of sucky. Or I had a pair of clippers. Yeah, I have them here. All right, these are just a Hobby Lobby El Cheapo things. Should be able to just remove that and just push that piece out. And same thing with this. Just remove that. Okay, so this should be able to assemble pretty easily. Now, we put this bigger thing in here specifically for the F-150. If this gives me too much trouble, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll just move on. So there's I'll either buy them at either Walmart or Target or Dollar Store, or there's a vintage toy store in the next town over, about 30 miles away, and they have most vehicles for $1 a piece. And I've gotten some stuff at a flea market, but they're surprisingly little. Now I'm seeing some metal shavings. That's a good sign. Hello. This piece of styrofoam thing that I keep back here. I guess we'll move it out of the way. Earthquake. Sweet Tooth from Twist. Man, I never got a chance to play that because I don't have a Sony PlayStation. Everybody's played that game. I have not played it. I guarantee if I had a PlayStation, I would have played it. I played Interstate 76. I don't remember any vehicles from it, but I did play Interstate 76. These metals are just so damn difficult to deal with. Yeah. Metal bottom, metal top. That's it. You got to go through the rivet. You're going to buy a PS2? What's that equivalent to, an Xbox 360? Vintage? Yeah, they don't even support Xbox 360 anymore. I still have the original Xbox. Back when Blockbuster was around, you could like rent those things. So I wanted to get a console. I didn't know whether I wanted to get an Xbox or a PlayStation, whatever, whichever one it was at the time. I guess there must have been a PlayStation 2. And so I rented them both with some games I may have played. And the Xbox won out. I mean, the Xbox had had games that I was more interested in playing than PlayStation 2. Now, I'm a fan of Sony things, or I used to, at the time, I used to be a fan of Sony things. I'm not so much of a fan of Sony things now. They make things different just to be difficult, you know. But I was at the time, and the Xbox still won out. All my friends had Xboxes, not PlayStations, so wasn't going to get both. That just seemed silly. All right, we made some progress there. All we got to do is get this thing to release. PS2 equals an Xbox. Can I get a Coke from you, man? Come on down. I don't have any Coke. I have Coke Zero. That's my Coke habit. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I actually have a clown one that has a clown on it. What's it called? It's called Ice Cream. There's an ice cream truck that has ice cream. It's got this, I'd say, a creepy clown. I'm not creeped out by clowns. I know many of you are. I've not seen that movie that creeped you guys out with a clown. I don't watch horror. It puts bullshit ideas in your head, and then you can't walk across a dark room. You farted. Well, don't forget to soak it all up. Is that theoretically possible? Like, if you fart in a room and you're like, and there's somebody else, if you could like breathe in it like really fast, breathe it all in, the other guy won't smell it? Asking for a friend. We may need to go up one more. Let's go up one more. Yeah, it's a Hot Wheels that has some crazed clown on it. Crazed ass looking clown on it. This one's slightly bigger. Also for metal. Not the same quality. Those ones that didn't drill through here are supposed, I mean, they were a lot. They were like $8 or something for a drill bit. You can see I wasted my money on them. There we go. Get you some. Well. Did I get fucking deceived again? And the bottom isn't metal? I need to have my head examined. Well, that's a good problem to have. All right, let's punt. Let's pull this out. It's late. I mean, I've been up since like 5 in the fucking morning. Just sit over here and be quiet. That's a good problem to have. Yeah. Okay. Well, a win's a win. This is a dirty win, but still a win. Yeah, I have a set of like 7 clown cars, I believe. But I figured I better do. Oh, see, this has no interior. No interior at all. We got a cool engine on here. This is all closed up. A lot of these vehicles that are tuned don't have, tuned as in cartooned, Tooned, do not have interiors. I guess they didn't want to make a tuned interior also. So we're gonna prime this black. And obviously prime this clear. All right, so we have all the vehicles torn apart. So let's do the painting part now. Now, I've got clear coat stuff to do, and I have black things to do. We're going to go ahead and clear coat first, because that paint isn't as goopy, I should say. Probably not as goopy So I have a chance of getting through all of it without it jamming. If I do the primer first, that may not be the case. Yes, you're right about horror movies. Yeah, I don't want to put ideas in your head, you know, like especially if it's like demonic stuff. Like nobody needs to go through that shit, you know. Now I don't mind action movies. I don't mind thrillers. Um, I don't mind any of that stuff. It's not like you know I gotta watch Walt Disney shit. The last truck you described in the game was the ice cream truck 2. Ron Howard's little brother made it popular in a horror movie. I didn't know Ron Howard had a little brother. Huh. Had no idea. Okay, clear coats first. What are we using? We're using Vallejo Premium Color. We're going to fire out our airbrush, which is an Iwata HPCS, and has worked well for me. Why did I pick this airbrush? They had it at the hobby store. I don't know why people want to watch horror movies. Maybe it's because that's a wrong place for that thing to be. A good way for it to end up on the ground. Maybe it's because, and this would actually be a legitimate reason, you have a job that's really hard to deal with, and you just figured, well, you can see a horror movie and say, well, at least it's better than, at least it's not as bad as my job, you know, at least my job isn't as bad as that horror movie. I don't know. I just think it puts ideas in your head, man, and just have trouble sleeping. I don't need that in my life. All right, so we used this last time to do some clear. And we did not give it a proper cleaning. What I mean is I just run this stuff through here. I don't do a intense cleaning every time I use it. It's a waste of time. I do it when none of this is like fine detail work. Used to be scared of horror movies until I saw a family member dead. They'll no longer scare you after that. Like in real life, I mean like natural causes or like they got murdered. Hopefully they didn't get murdered, man. I don't like the jump scares. I don't like the jump scares. What was I watching the other day that somebody recommended to me? Oh, that Miss 45, which isn't a scary movie, but there's a scene where she's like imagining that, the rapist was after her, and it just flashed him up as a jump scare, and it got me. And I'm like, I don't need that in my life, you know? Self-inflicted. Ooh. Sorry, man. I don't want those ideas in my head. All right, so we got the clear coat spraying well. So we're going to need a spot over here. We can use this little box we brought these guys in, and we're going to stack all the pieces that need to be clear coated in there. So we're going to start off with the Ford Ranchero. Now the Ford Ranchero interior is silver, so the interior is going to be painted black. Everything else can get a clear coat. The glass doesn't matter whether it gets one now or later. I'm just going to set it off to the side. This just needs a clear coat, so when we paint over this, actually this could probably stand to be black. We're going to do black with this and this one, and we're going to clear coat the Ranchero. So we're going to get one of these little doodads here. We got somewhere to hold this thing, and we're just going to give it a quick clear coat. This is just to attach the paint. We're going to attach basically a watered down brown to make it look weathered. Now it's not going to be super noticeable on this, but it is noticeable. If you did two side by side, you'd be able to tell the difference. It just takes the damn shine off, and allows whatever you put on there. And the reason it takes the shine off, if you were to look at this under a microscope, it'll make the surface look rough like sandpaper. instead of just being smooth. So now you have a surface that some of it will, there's something to adhere to. So we're just going to sit this right here and move on to the next one. And I'm glad that we didn't have an accident because this thing's really loose, about to fall off. So we did not want the Rancho to fall on the ground. Okay? Next one. Let's do this dude right here. Okay, this is one of the Impalas with the Dorito look to it. The interior is going to get painted. Might as well prime the front and the back bumper as well. Windows can sit off to the side. But this part will be clear coated. You had an accident in your pants. Picture, it didn't happen. I remember the first time I heard that saying. It's like, that's a useful saying. That's a more useful saying than that's what she said. All right, we're just going to go over this thing lightly. We don't have to do anything crazy. The beautiful paint scheme, if you did this, you'd have to do it yourself. I wouldn't drive a vehicle that looked like this, but I sure as hell would drive something like this in a game to blow other people up. And this may be the first one that we do. And I'm getting this ready for tomorrow morning because we're going to hit the ground running with these. And this is going to go over here because that is the parts that we need to spray black. All right, next one. Same body style. Except this one is some green flames here. Green window. Don't need to worry about that right now. It may or may not have the windows in it. We're going to do this all black as well. This sits over here. And the engine block is going, we might as well put that over there. We'll prime that as well. Again, so now we're stuck with just the body here. For you, it's more like that's what he said. Well, whatever works for you, man. Just a thin coat. If you don't do this, then the brown is just going to wash off. Or whatever you do, it's just going to be too smooth. Okay? All right, we got Toothless here with the pink windows. Not pink windows, but that's more like a magenta. Same thing, we're going to prime this. Prime that in black. Okay? This is some kind of gold Hulk or something like that. Now, I've done one vehicle that's a green color like this. It's like my favorite vehicle. And that's the Ford Escort RS. Focus, sorry. Focus is just a new Escort. That's it. Same thing. Three-pack of Impalas. All right. This truck here. This is already black. Don't have to paint it. Windows, don't have to paint them. Body, it's Grimace purple. We'll paint that. And this, of course, we'll give it a clear coat. Next, the Fandango Durango. We'll primer that. We'll prime that too. I don't know what we're going to do here. Let's not prime this. And we'll give this the same treatment. This was actually in a flea market. In a flea mart section of a IPMS show. International Plastic Model Society or whatever it's called show. Some guy was like selling a bunch of Hot Wheels. I'm like, that's what I want. That's true, but Ford Escorts could go a lot of miles. The Ford Focus had a lot of front end troubles. So I actually looked this up. I'm not a fan of domestic vehicles. I wish I was, but the reality is the quality control on domestic. I'm not saying all foreign vehicles are good, or even all Japanese vehicles are good, but I'm definitely a fan of Japanese vehicles. It's just a quality control issue, you know. Domestic vehicles, I just don't. I generally don't like the styling on them, and they just don't. They got issues. So I looked up, because in the 1960s, muscle car time period, American vehicles were like the most. They were the most reliable vehicles of anybody else. In World War II, nobody came close, right? American stuff was the best. So I'm like, what the hell happened? So I start looking it up, and what I'm coming across is one thing that seems to have messed up American vehicles a lot was fuel ignition. They just had issues, and I remember we had some American vehicles or domestic vehicles in my household, and the issue they always had is they would have like electrical problems, and so I started looking. I'm like, what's the deal? And apparently, what I read is that Fords, in particular, Fords, if it had a V8, it was a pretty reliable engine. Like the Ford V8, according to this article, was pretty reliable. They start doing other stuff like 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, and you start having issues, according to this article. I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of something interesting to consider. Oh, this is odd. Oh, this is an optical delusion. Oh my God. Okay, so you look at this, and you look at this vehicle, and it looks like, all right, there's nothing weird about this vehicle, right? You got wheels in the front, wheels in the back. Look at the top view, same width, all that. Now watch what happens when you take this off. When you take this off, it's an optical illusion. It looks like the wheels in the back are inset further than the wheels in the front, but it is completely an optical illusion because of this body being a lot narrower there. And also narrower here. But they're straight across from each other, but it looks like they're a lot narrower. Like, I had to do a double take on that. Okay, this is going to be prime black. This is going to be prime black. So I like these skull things. I'm not driving around a vehicle with white tires. That just isn't going to fly. This gets clear-coated black. This has Dia de los Muertos written on it. So yeah, apparently, according to this article, the V8, and this wasn't just somebody's opinion. It seemed like it was like a Consumer Reports or something like that. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. So if they stick to the stuff that they know well, they're not bad. Because a Japanese engine, if you take care of it, it'll go hundreds of thousands of miles. Now, if you treat it like shit, yeah, and don't do regular oil changes, it's going to go to crap. But they're just making vehicles too complicated now. I don't want this, I don't want a vehicle slamming the brakes on when I'm driving. Scare the crap out of you. It's trying to avoid an accident that's not really happening. Okay, this is the Ford F-150. The tuned Ford F-150. And a lot of these, like look at this vehicle. It actually has a lot of details on the front end. Now the manufacturer decided to just make it, hey, let's just make it all red. And that's what happened with the Ford Focus that I had. The Ford Focus that I have actually has really good detail on the tail. I mean, look, they even put all the taillight stuff on here. They just decided not to paint it at all. We're going to paint it, and it's going to look awesome. That's actually one of my favorite things to do is I like taking these Gasland vehicles and making it look like you can tell what the original vehicle is. I don't want every vehicle to be black and rust and metal colored and corrosion and spikes and and like it just turns every vehicle into being the same as every other vehicle. I want you to tell us like, oh, that's an F-150 with a rocket launcher or things like that. Now you can do whatever you want. That's just kind of my mentality behind it. Now the F-150 has this crazy like trumpet looking whatever the hell you call that thing. And here's the wheels for it. We're going to leave that as is. Okay. And here's the interiors. Now we're to the food truck. This thing will get a brown wash, if anything, so we'll leave that apart. This will be primed in black. This will be clear coated. And we can leave the bottom alone. And that's everything. So we're going to clear coat this one. Then we're going to switch to the primer, prime all these things. And hopefully that'll be the end of the session. We won't have a jam in the middle of somewhere. You know, like the front of this food truck, right? Look, there's some details there. There's lights. There's a grill. You know, there's just stuff to look at that's just molded on it. It's almost like the designer of the actual model. This is a model. And the painting crew were on two different pages. You know, the designer was like, I want all this stuff to make it accurate. The painting crew's like, okay, we got 2 colors and an hour to get this knocked out. You know, and they just decided not to put that stuff on here. Now, let's see if I didn't screw myself inadvertently and not give myself somewhere to hold on to. And I think I might pull through on that one. And we're out of clear. Now we need just enough to do one vehicle. All right. El segundo fajitas. The second, as in the second one. El segundo. Or it could be as the second as opposed to the minute. I don't know if that's an actual place in California or not. But that's a place where a lot of these Hot Wheels get designed. Okay, try to grab it somewhere we're not going to have an issue with. Move this here and move this out of the way. All right. If we have any clear, which we don't, we have a very little, we're going to run this homemade primer through it. And take our little scrubby brush. Try to get as much as we can off the side of this thing. All right. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. I painted this morning. Oh my goodness, I think we just killed the Iwata brush. We'll have to run some epoxy in there and glue. This is, I don't know, this is the one that comes with the airbrush. It's amazing. And well, what's so special about it? I don't know, I can scrub really hard with it and the bristles don't all go every which way. So it's definitely very durable. The Ford straight 6 motors are amazing. V8's even more. Everyone knows the 351 and the 302. We had a reliable Ford vehicle growing up. It was a 1968, I'm going to say it's called the Town and Country. It was a station wagon. Huge beast. Used leaded gas. Had leaded gas, had tires that were not radial. And it was a monster. It was a monster car. And that was the first car I remember that we had growing up. And there was nothing wrong with it other than it was a gas guzzler. Then we had a 1974 Dodge Monaco that we only ended up having that for like 3 or 4 years because there was issues with it. I don't know what they were. I was 6 at the time. Just don't ask me. I have to ask Dad, and he's not around anymore. Okay, Vallejo primer. That's what we're going to use. I am not actually a fan of this stuff anymore. It does not airbrush great. I don't know that it's super durable, but I have a lot of it, or I did, and I'm going to use it up before I get more of this stuff. I like this stuff right here, the one-shot primer from Ammo. However, this is about half the amount that this is, and this still costs about twice as much as this. So it's about 4 times more expensive. But when I run out of this, I'll be buying more of this stuff. I don't go through that much primer. Monaco, neat looking. I remember when I was a kid, remember I'm like 5, 6 years old, and it's got the turn signals up at the front. So like when you make a right-hand turn, it's got the little right-hand turn blinker, you know, looking at it. Like when you're in the driver compartment, you're looking at the little blinker on the right-hand side. It's kind of cool. Had an 8-track player. Dad was playing 8 tracks. You know, it was like beige color, had a white roof. You know, like the one of them white roofs that's like squishy. You know, almost maybe squishy like this. Of course, it bounces back. This won't bounce back. All right, let's get some primer in here and use some of the Mr. Khurram Abbas's magic formula, which keeps this from getting us tip dry. We're going to use about 30% of this, 70% of this. And it made, I am not a professional airbrusher. I never will be. I can do things painting with a paintbrush that I'm never going to be able to do with an airbrush. But I get by pretty good. I feel like I get by even better every time I do it. But his liquid mix made a huge difference in my frustration level. I'm going to flip this thing over, and we're going to test. We have this at a really high pressure. Okay, we have this like at 40 psi. Just trying to avoid a jam. Okay, we're good like that. I don't want to go really thick. I want multiple coats covering it over. Let's start with this F-150 tuned interior. Let's make sure we get one of these that's not going to fall apart on us. That was pretty secure. And I don't believe this part is visible. So we'll grab it by that. I could be wrong. Let's grab it here. All right, here we go. I don't know what they're called. They're called something different. Whatever radial tires were available, whatever tires were available before radial, you're talking like 1968. So there's another style. I remember my dad telling me, like, yeah, this. And I forget what they're called. And I remember him telling him that he did not like radial tires. So I think what happened was, whatever tires, when they did the switch, they weren't very reliable, and eventually, you know, they became more reliable. But it had leaded gas, you know, and I think that unleaded cars could run on leaded gas, but not the other way around. Maybe somebody, you know, maybe somebody out there still has that vehicle and it still runs, but beast of an engine. 8-cylinder engine. I don't know if it was a straight. I don't know. I don't know that much about engines. I'm not that much of a car guy. I just like cars and I pay attention sometimes. Okay, so now we got all that ridiculous chrome off there, right? Check out. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. That's what we do. We do this, and people come by, and we interact with them, and it forces me to stay on track. I'm just going to stack these things over here. All right. Next one. What do we got here? The interior of El Dia de los Muertos truck. Okay. Well, one guy never told me where he was from in Florida. Come on, man. Florida brothers unite. I'm extremely defensive about my state. If you don't like Florida, don't come here. We already have too many people. Okay, to make sure that we get black primer on the inside of the wheel wells. We don't want chrome inside of the wheel wells. That's ridiculous. Impractical. Just a thin coating like that. I don't know about me being amazing. I'm just being myself. But thank you. Maybe you're just easily impressed. I don't know. Hopefully I'll inspire you to do something, you know, something positive. I see lots of stuff on the internet. I'm like, man, I need to, I got used to, I had a friend of mine who would come in and we work on hobby stuff and miniatures and stuff every Wednesday. And I got used to doing this as a social thing. And I miss it. And it makes the time go by really fast. And why is this thing, oh, there we go. And I just got used to it and I missed it. We're gonna have our first jam here. It's starting to, this stuff is really thick, so. It's difficult to deal with sometimes. And if there's one little thing that we have to prime, I got another bottle of this stuff that I hand paint with inside. It's the same stuff. This goes on with a paintbrush really well. It gets in every nook and cranny. I don't know if it's really durable though. Jury's still out on that one. But I'm not rough on my stuff. I mean, I prime it, we paint it, we seal it, we try not to abuse it, and it's been durable enough. You love Florida. It moves fast, though. I'm from the land of cheese and freeze, Wisconsin. Ah, so you're a Packers fan. Like old Mitch. I'm guessing you're a Packers fan. I don't watch any sports. I can tell Mitch, there's no way I'd ever like the Packers. Why? Their colors. I went to a high school that had those colors, and I fucking hated those colors. I love cheese, though. I mean, I don't know about freeze. I like cold weather, but never been to Wisconsin. It's just too darn far away. I don't know if I'd want to be like snowed in somewhere, though. But I do like cold weather. We got a little bit of a cold snap here in north central Florida, and I'm loving it. I don't know about really cold. Like you could sit outside and you're not eaten by bugs. How about that? Okay, what is 11:30? Yikes! Well, we got to get this done. We didn't come this long not to get this stuff done. We don't have that much stuff to do. And it's only because I got to get up at 5 a.m. I don't want to change my getting up at 5 a.m. schedule. And I still need a shower, too. Green and yellow, sun and grass. Yeah, I think it's the green. I think it's the color green is not a big fan of that forest green. That's all. Nothing else against him, you know. Those cheese curd things you guys have are fucking amazing, you know. I didn't have those until I was an adult. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad we didn't have these as a kid. I'd be that fat kid. I wasn't fat as a kid, you know. I gained weight when I lost my metabolism went. I don't need any worse than I was in my 20s. I just don't have a 20s metabolism anymore. You guys got a lot of people that drink in Wisconsin. I didn't know that. Not saying you're one of them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with drinking, although I rarely do. Makes me fall asleep though, so I'm more of a caffeine whore. Okay, so we went over this ridiculously white tires. That's taken care of. Now they're black. I like that they have a little skull motif on it. We'll keep that. That's going to show up in the weathering nicely. All right, and that chassis is done. All right, this is the Durango Fandango chassis. The green is off somehow. You're right. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing against any team, but it's a good color. It just doesn't look right with the yellow, at least to my eye. At least it's not the Browns, right? And the funny thing is, I love to play like football games, like Madden and stuff like that. And anybody that plays them, that's like a football fan, they never can play it like a real coach. They're always like trying to throw Hail Marys in every play. I'm like, dude, like mix it up, man. Thomas, welcome. Checking in from Kentucky. Love the content, bro. Keep it up. Keep the hard work. All right, man. Keep the bourbon flowing. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate you. All right, so let's say I want these wheels to be gold, right? That's a good question. I think I'm going to prime everything, and if I do decide I want gold wheels, I got gold paint. I can paint it back up again. So yeah, we're painting over it. That's the only reason why. Now, the paint, any of this chrome-like paint that's on, whether it's gold, silver, as soon as you handle it, it starts coming off. Almost like glitter. Okay, if you get like a present or wrapping paper that has glitter, after handling a little bit, it just comes off. So you'd have to seal it anyways. I like this Grimace purple that's on here. Now, these are all Mexican lowriders. They're all going to have either Spanish or Spanglish names. So this guy that has this this vehicle like this, this could be something like the Velvet Vato, something like that. At least one of the compound names, if it has a compound name, is in Spanish or Spanglish. Just part of the theme. Okay. And that's done. A lot of these chrome bodies. You handle all this stuff, the chrome's going to come off. Again, I'm going to go ahead and just paint all this black. We'd come in and do those wheels in that color if we need to. Die-cast collector. Yeah, I think on one of the news groups that came up today or yesterday, they were saying, hey, if you come across a treasure hunt, which is what Hot Wheels call them, I forget what the hell Matchbox calls them, but something limited edition, do you repaint it? And I'm like, I'm repainting everything. I don't care if it's a special car. I don't want to collect things to try to resell, right? I want to have them because they're cool. And if they're cool, they're going to get repainted. Now, the odds of me finding a special car are probably not very likely, because it's more than likely somebody has always scrounged the field. And, if I paid $1 for it, I don't really care whether or not it's a collector's or not. Now, I plan on keeping the paint schemes on just about all these vehicles, on almost all of them. It's a lot less work for me, and honestly, a lot of them are pretty cool. If I was going to repaint these flames, right, and said, oh, I want my own flames painted, that would take me an age. I could have 10 cars done by the time I'm done with one. It just doesn't make sense to do it. And unless it's some ridiculous color scheme, let's just roll with it, you know? Bobby. It's Bobby. And is it Velvet Bato? Velvet Bato, as far as I can tell, means like dude. And you know, if you're not Mexican, you don't get called a vato. It's just kind of they're slanglish for that. Uh-oh. If we can do all this and not have a jam, that would be perfect. All these are Impalas. The Impalers. You know, we'll probably have one with a ram, one that doesn't have a ram, one that has a turreted something or another. Just make all three of them different, you know. Come on. I don't know which one we'll work on first, but we'll do one at a time. Probably one of these Impalas, more than likely. Don't really collect them, maybe inadvertently, but I don't see any purpose in collecting things, not doing anything to them, and just not even taking them out of the package. That's like buying a car and never driving it. Buying a gun, never shooting it, etc. Buying clothes, never wearing them. Buying food, never eating it. Makes me sad. Can you paint one candy red? Well, I'm not going to repaint any of them, but I've got candy red. Well, one of them is. One of them is candy red. That's what I'm not going to repaint them. It just takes a lot of time. I got a candy red. Go look on my. There's a vehicle I did recently called what is she called? Redhead Warhead. It is a Chevy Colorado that is an all red, and it looks a lot better when I was done with it than when I got it, because it's all uniform, like one color. We're almost done with this. Would I repaint a car? Yes, but I'm not going to repaint a car that has cool graphics on it. I mean, unless I got a second one of them, you know. Interior of the food truck. It's Taco Tuesday, man. Fajita Friday. Anybody had a bad experience at a food truck? I feel like food trucks are a lot cleaner than its equivalent restaurant. You know, it's always movies, so it's harder for the roaches to catch it. You know what I'm saying? So this will dry overnight, and we hit the ground running in the morning. And who knows which one we're going to work on first. Probably one of the Impalas. Maybe the Dia de los Muertos truck. Yeah, is this like the last thing to paint? I think I have one interior to paint. Now I may have the side sealed on this. I'm doing this kind of in vain, but I don't think I'll be doing. I don't think I'm going to any stores tomorrow. Unfortunately, I think the days of that is like over for me. Like, it's not that I don't go to stores, but man, it's really frustrating. Like, not find something, nobody wants to help you, nobody knows how to order it or when they're going to get more in or any of that stuff. Taco truck, a lot of people get sick here. Oh man. But sounds like a bad joke. They order burritos. Burritos is just like a diaper by any other name, right? I'm a fan of, why eat burritos if you eat a chimichanga? I've never had a bad chimichanga. Crunchy burrito. All right. This little guy is over. All right. This is the interior of what are the trucks? La Troca. You missed Chi-Chi's. Yeah, that's right. They went out of business, right? So many of those places went. Which is the one I missed? Don Pablo's, man. We had a Don Pablo's here in town that was freaking awesome. It looked like the decor on the inside. You were like in a little Mexican plaza. It definitely had great atmosphere. But you know what? If it was still around, it might have gone to shit. Because in the last 4 or 5 years, I won't tell you what may have caused that. But just things aren't the same. I don't even go out to eat anymore. Used to love going out to eat. Almost always had a great experience. That just isn't the case anymore. We had a Don Pablo's. We had a On the Border. On the Border had some good meals and On the Border. We didn't have a Chi-Chi's here in town. I know what you're talking about. Jacksonville has a Chi-Chi's. Or used to have a Chi-Chi's. Can't say I ever ate at one. Didn't try to avoid it. Just never ate at one. Just telling my daughter, who's 20, we were talking about places that were really good in the 80s. Man, Pizza Hut was awesome. I mean, I know it sounds weird to say it now, but you go to like 1984, 1983, 84, 82, something like that. Pizza Hut was a great place. Whenever they came out with those personal pan pizzas, those things were fucking amazing. And I know how that'd be, it seems like that'd be really hard to believe, but we only need a little bit left. And I don't think it's just like, oh, well, you just had a more delicate palate back. Your palate wasn't so picky back then. There may be something to that, but that I think everybody just started cutting corners on everything. Is everything accounted for? We all accounted for? What do we got down here? I am gonna paint the inside of this boom truck, so at least we got primer on this instead of just black. The boom truck. You know which one I'm gonna paint first? The one that I come up with a name for first. The one I finalize, and I've got names already picked out for a lot of these things. Just whatever I finalize. There's so many good names for these things. This is the food truck. I don't want these wild ass rims. Don Pablo's was definitely living true. Most places get their food from these places. Cisco and 2 others, Pizza Hut's dough recipes were brilliant. Yeah, they used to be. Well, that's another thing. Maybe everybody gets everything from the same food distributors. It's the same shit. I'm not an anti-corporation person. Or I didn't used to be, but I am now. This is the big old wheels for the Durango, isn't it? Nope. This is the F-150. We're gonna repaint this. Even if we, and this will totally have silver colored wheels. And then that's it. Well, we're gonna clean this thing out a little bit. But I'm not gonna do a deep clean on this airbrush. I'll do that when I have to do it. If I was gonna do some like really tight paint scheme or something like that, I'd probably change it, but got a little spot here left on that. Chi-Chi's were started or owned by Packers. Interesting. Did it start up there? We didn't have one here. Almost every big city had them. Did their sauce die too? I remember seeing the sauce in the store. Never went to one. You know, growing up, I remember like people. You know, I always was a fan of chain restaurants because it was almost like a. Let's see, how can I describe this? There was almost like a sense of you needed to do things at least this good. There was like a sense of ownership or something in it. But now it's like, it's just a sense of cutting fucking corners. So I'm more likely to go to a place where it has some, you know, has like the owners working instead of just somebody who's just working there because it's just a job. Reinhardt, Cisco, and the other food distributors supply most restaurants. I'm not familiar with Reinhardt. What's the other one? Oh man, we have it here. Well, we had one called Florida Food Service. It may have gone out of business. I have a little chef's head on it. What's it called? It's like a person's name. I don't know. That's just a shame that everything's gone to that. Okay, so that's going to be it. We're going to blow the rest of this out. Now, I tell people, you know, save money where you can. Be frugal where you can be frugal. They sell these blowout things, containers, for like 20 or 30 bucks. And all you're doing is spending 30 bucks on something that you're going to end up trashing. You know, and by trashing, I mean like the interior is painted with paint. You're trashing. You're using it for what it's intended for, but it looks crummy. Just get you a big jug and just blow into that. You know. Now, the problem that this has is this doesn't evaporate worth a shit. So, I've got about this much fluid in here that's still in here from years ago. So if I poured that out, there's no telling what kind of a science project I'm gonna find. Might have to film that one day. It might be unimpressive. You know, it's just paint and some kind of thinner and water, and it just fermenting for over a year. But it doesn't evaporate worth a shit, even through the summer, even when it's hot in here. Now this is relatively clean. I'm going to run some more of this through. And I'm going to use this in this manner until you get to the point where you're holding the airbrush down and fluid comes out. See, right now it's just air. When it gets too much stuff in there, what will happen is when I push down, I get actual fluid going through. It'll go like this, even when I'm just pushing straight down, not pushing down and pulling back. That's when you know you gotta clean the thing out then, because you're not getting a good seal. So until that happens, I'm gonna keep running with it because I don't want to spend 15 minutes cleaning it up. I'm using acrylics. I'm not doing any permanent damage to it or anything. It's just there's no reason everything being a pain in the ass every time. Fast food went downhill in the 80s. Simple reason too. One corporate guy discovered you could pay people a lot less to do the job. I think it's just nobody giving a shit. But yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do is we got this like a 40 psi. Turn the thing off. Pull the plug on it. I appreciate you guys coming by. We'll see you tomorrow morning if that's your thing. And hit me a like if you like this. And I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys on Black Friday, where I have everything painted black. I'm ready for it. Oh shit, it'll be Black Friday in like 7 minutes. All right, folks, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you. And see you soon. Bye-bye.